This clip is from my conversation with David Mead, co-author of Find Your Why with Simon Sinek and author of Lead with Uncommon Sense, Simple Truths Great Leaders Live By that Most Leaders Miss. David's a leadership expert who helps companies around the world make work more human, so people actually feel meaning in what they do.
When COVID came and I lost everything again, I don't want to say I was prepared for it, but I was in a place where I felt like, you know what, it's going to work out, right? Because God had carried me through the uncertainties in the years up until then. And I was like, I mean, I'm not going to die, you know, worst case, I move into my parents' basement again, like whatever. So, but it was tough because I was so excited to go out and, you know, when I left Simon's team, it was like, all of a sudden I was like, I can talk about whatever I want. And I didn't really know what that was yet. Because I just, you know, I was 100% into his content and loved it, but now I was like, I can't talk about that anymore. So what do I talk about? Yeah. So initially, it was a really good time for me to say, okay, well, let me explore what I want to do, what I want to talk about. My friend Peter, he and I co-authored Find Your Why with Simon in 2017. He left at the same time as I did. And so we were working together and we were going to write a book together. And so we started down that process. And anyway, like just there was tons of opportunity, but nothing was really falling into place the right way for me. By the way, pile on top of that, we had just finished building a home in Alpine and like COVID hit when we were kind of in the last 6 months of building that house. So we were like, do we even move in? What do we do? Like, how do we just sell it? But we felt like we needed to be there for some reason. So we moved in. It was like, we got savings, we're okay, like we'll be all right. Well, 2 years into COVID and still like nothing is picking up. Speakers, I mean, if companies are having corporate events, they're virtual. So I'm doing some virtual stuff, but then with all the social unrest stuff with George Floyd and everything, like my speakers bureau agent, who is based in New York, even told me, she's like, I'm sorry, man, but like that's the reality. You are not going to get a job. And that went on for, you know, however long it went on for. But anyway, we're 3 years in and still like nothing is picking up. And so I don't know how much farther down you want me to go on the story,
but to the end.
So I was out to lunch again with these two buddies from AT&T. And one of them has been very, very successful in real estate, my best friend. And so I was like, you know what, let me just figure out what my house is worth, right? We've been in it 3 years by now. And just for curiosity, let me just see what it's worth. And this is a little bit after the time when people were paying, you know, 100, 200 grand over market value for homes and stuff. Yeah. It's just crazy. But I was like, it's probably still worth a decent amount. So he comes back with a number and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's insane. And so I was like, all this time we were still sitting there wondering, why did we feel like we needed to be here? Was it because somebody needed us, because we needed to meet somebody? And we met some great people. But when that came, it was kind of like this little gift of like, you know what? You were here so that we could put you in this position. So we sold our house, which is the hardest thing for my wife to do because she designed it and built it. She didn't swing the hammer, but you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, good riddance, get me out of this thing. And so we sold that. We paid cash for 2 smaller homes, 10 minutes down the street. Nice. And just overnight, just that weight of that mortgage like off my shoulders. And anyway, so that's awesome. That period of leaving COVID. And then
wow, that's a lot of faith there that you're following and trusting because it's a long time, man. Yeah, I was thinking like three years something plus or ish. Like yeah, it's a long time to just be like, well, still feels like this is going to work out okay.
Yeah. And I mean, but here's the thing too, right? During, when was it? It was in 2023, actually. We still decided to go forward with the sale, but I had met a guy named Tim Spiker, another author, has his own consulting business. And I met him probably in late 2021 or so. But we just, I mean, his book and his concepts were so aligned with mine. I heard him on a webinar 16 times throughout the thing. I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I talk about. Like, oh my gosh, I do that exercise with my clients too. Like it was uncanny, like how closely our stuff matched. And so I got a hold of him afterwards. I was like, dude, I think we share a brain. We should probably be friends. So we just kept in touch. We just like, we're talking about stuff and, you know, like, but no plans to work together really. Then in 2023, just a few months before we moved out of our house, he offered me a 2.5-year contract to work with one of his clients, his major client out in the Midwest. And what I was going to get paid, it was super part-time for me, so I could still do all my stuff for my own business, my own content, but it would cover our bills for the next 2.5 years, not including our big mortgage payment, which we got rid of, right?
That's amazing.
So it's just, again, like God knows, I've come to realize that he knows what I need, when I need it. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have stress. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have uncertainty. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have anxiety, but I've just learned that when something doesn't feel like it's working out, it'll work out. I just have to be open. I have to listen. I have to be ready and be willing to accept what comes.
I love that. I think there's something to that, being open, because I think I'm not the organizational expert here, but I think people, it's hard when you're in the moment. People think they know what's best, and they probably do for them to an extent, but also I believe also that there's somebody else in charge, and so they have the whole big picture view, and we're just missing part of it. So thanks for going there, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you end up taking that client, right?
I did. That just ended in December 2025.
Nice.
And he's got me doing another much smaller group starting in August of this year. So
did you ever think you've written 2 books now? Did you ever think you were going to write a book? Did you kind of always want to, or was this something that you're like,
no?
Talk me through the first one, when you decided you wanted to write the first one with Peter.
Well, I mean, it wasn't necessarily my decision. I mean, Simon had written Start With Why in 2009, which was basically just laying out the concept and the idea of purpose and finding your why. And then for, I don't know, 3-4 years, people were saying, okay, great. Like, I get the concept, but how do I actually do that for myself?
That makes sense.
How do I actually find my why? How do I actually find the why for my team, for my company? And so the question got asked enough that we finally realized, okay, maybe we should, I mean, Simon could go and, be with your company for an hour or less and like pull a rabbit out of a hat and tell you what your why was. It was great, but it's like, it's not replicatable. It's not scalable, right?
Yeah.
So Peter and I started experimenting and doing workshops and leadership sessions and stuff where we would try a couple of different approaches and methods to help people do it themselves. And so 6 years later, we finally felt like, okay, we have a good, solid system that we can teach people how to do it and everybody can do it themselves. That's when the idea for Find Your Why came out. Right.
Got it.
And so that I'd never, I mean, it was Simon's, brainchild, obviously. And then Peter and I, just through the work that we had done and the research that we had done, kind of put the meat into it. So that's how that one came about. It's kind of a pain though, because I was in Salt Lake, Simon was in New York, Peter was in London, or in the UK. So trying to coordinate, that was a nightmare.
They're not up there. There's small windows of overlapping time there to work together on a good sized book, especially during COVID, right? Still, I mean,
this is 2017.
Oh, okay. So
2016, 2017.
So then when did you know that you needed to write next book?
It was probably about 1.5 years ago. I had, with all the time that I had on my hands, because I wasn't getting much work, I had really dialed in my content, what I wanted to talk about, framework that I wanted to share. There were a couple of factors that got me into writing a book. So I started the book when I first left Simon's team. I started a book with Peter together. That one didn't work out. He ended up taking that over and writing it on his own, did a great job with that one. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to write my own too. Worked with somebody to kind of help me work through that. It just, I don't know, like it wasn't coming out, just wasn't flowing. So I dropped that for a couple of years. And then again, just about 1.5 years ago, there were a couple of factors. One was I had given my own keynote enough that I just felt like, I'm very much into simplicity and simple principles, simple ideas. But I felt like the keynote that I was delivering, while it was simple and it was great for the people that were hearing it, there wasn't a lot of depth behind it for me. Like I didn't have anything to draw from that I could, if I needed to take a simple concept and enhance it with anything, or to, and so I was like, I'm basically at the same level as the people that are hearing my content, which is not where I want to be. So I said, my thought was, I want to understand my own ideas better. So writing a book is a great way to do that, because I have to research examples and, theory behind it, and like, how does it work and why does it work, and, stuff like that. And so that was one major motivation. Second thing is kind of silly. I was so tired of, it didn't happen all the time, but I was tired of being asked to come give a keynote to a company of my content and then do a book signing of Find Your Why. And, it had been 7 years since, 7-8 years since I wrote that book. And so I thought, like, what have you done for me lately? Like, I want to have something that, anchors to my content, something that I can actually give out to people that gives them more depth on the concepts that I talk about. So those were the big motivations.
This was a short clip from the 4Fs podcast, where I sit down with founders, veterans, and executives, world-class experts that you won't hear on every other show, to talk about leadership, entrepreneurship, and personal reinvention. For the full conversation and more context, tap the link in the description or search 4Fs podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. And if you're enjoying these shorter episodes, make sure to follow along so you don't miss tomorrow's clip.
Welcome to the 4Fs with Jeff.